Hi everyone, it's Radio MLS time. How you doing? This is your host Sean Maslin. I'm joined as always in the center of the protesting universe. He has 4 picket signs up in his office right now, 3 of which demand more coffee, the 4th of which demands a scone. He's Mr. Matt Hoffman. Matt, how you doing? Is Portland being able to figure out what it wants these days?
Sean, we will overcome. We are united. We will have our way. We will make our voices heard through the metro area. This is only beginning.
Will they have a shaving of the beards as like a form of like protest?
Oh well, I mean let's not get ridiculous.
I'm sorry there. I guess. I thought there was some sort of solidarity here that they would do a reverse protest where everybody would shave their beards and would start wearing 3-piece suits and just to really throw people off.
Wow, that would be that's the funny thing. We're not conformists, but we're all conforming to be non-conformists. So, and it is No Shave November.
That's like in you ever seen The Big Lebowski when the dude was talking to the nihilists, and they're like, "We are nihilists. We believe in nothing." He's like, "Must be exhausting."
You don't believe in nothing.
Must be exhausting. We only kid. We kid because it's a pretty shitty time here in this country.
It's not really great. So yeah, protests have been kind of, I like being able to take transit into work. I think that's helpful. That's been problematic. And then they're drilling across the street. I'm assuming that their drills are for some reason, and that's not some sort of protest itself. I can't get any work done. It's been awful.
Oh no, it's completely in relation to you're going to get the Keystone Pipeline is coming through.
I think it might be. In fact, I might throw that rumor on Craigslist or Reddit or something just to get protesters to kind of move over there.
Promotion relegation has relegated Portland, Oregon to the bottom of the Keystone Pipeline deal.
It's desperate times under desperate measures, but it's like I can't call clients. I mean, I was on that MLS conference call yesterday, and I couldn't jump in because every time I was about ready to, it's like, okay, they finally stopped, and again, so yeah. It's fun.
What a fun conference call that was. So those who were listening, we had a chance to speak with coach of Seattle, Brian Schmetzer, coach of Rapids, Pablo Mastroeni, and then goalkeeper is Stefan Fry, who I think he has the strangest accent known to man. From our friend Mr. Stephen Egan, apparently he is Swiss, but he studied in America and then grew up and then came through Toronto FC. So he has a Canadian, Swiss, West Coast accent. Well, listen, brah. I have. Does anybody want some Tim Hortons, eh? With your Swiss miss?
And I think he only got one question. It was kind of like, and I think at first they were kind of going for Spencer, then they kind of realized, oh wait, no one's asked Stefan. Hey, how are you doing?
Well, it's kind of, I mean, we were talking about this before here. The Rapids aren't exactly a prolific scoring team, and so, I mean, what do you ask about? When you get the one shot on goal, what are you gonna do? I did like that somebody asked about Marco Papa. That was fun.
Yeah.
Although we had to do that little walking the line between, shall we talk about your history of your issues with your spouse who tried to stab you, or should we talk about the fact that he used to play for our team, which he was a really good player for the Sounders. Matt is doing his best Freddy Krueger impression because he is wearing a brown shirt. He does not have a crazy worn hat. He does look like he might need a nap later, so perhaps he will invade somebody's dreams, but we don't know quite about this.
On the other hand, I thought it was good to hear from Zach McMath.
Yeah.
And about 15 different variations of, hey, you're the starter, and then they got Tim Howard, and you got benched, but now you're playing again. What's that like?
Interesting story, though, and nobody brought this up. He was the goalkeeper for their 2 wins against Seattle, and including their 1-0 win at CenturyLink. So, look, I mean, I think they have a great chance at being able to get points on the road against them. And, you know, he showed that he's a serviceable goalkeeper. The question is that, you know, all this time off, how much rust is there going to be? You can only do so much practicing. And I don't think he ever went on loan, which is kind of bizarre, but I think it was...
Oh, he was always backup, so...
Yeah, and I guess, you know, the other thing was they didn't really know what kind of quantity they were going to get with Tim Howard. You know, what is this kind of like his victory lap, so to speak, or is this would there be an injury? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that that's going to be the big hurdle that's going to cause Colorado to win or lose the series. I would be concerned if he's in penalty kicks, just because you're going from Tim Howard, who's probably one of the best shot stoppers for penalties that the United States has ever seen, and I would say one of the best the past 20 years in terms of world goalkeepers. And going to McMath, who sometimes makes some fascinating decisions. So I don't know, Matt. I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be.
No, I mean, I think Tim Howard will still be there at some capacity. He won't play, obviously, but a lot of what he brings to the team has been just in the leadership and accountability, kind of setting the example there. So I think that's part. I think that'll still benefit from that. It's not going to be I mean, Zachary Math is a good goalkeeper. Tim Howard is one of the best in the world. Mm-hmm. So there is a drop off, but I don't think it's quite as steep, especially when you got that good defense that Colorado has in front of them. It comes down to, will Colorado be able to create chances and score opportunities? And to that end, it's going to depend on Gashi. It's going to depend on Doyle. I mean, it does seem, with the exception of Howard, that everyone is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
You know, we're still, Gashi is still day to day. Mm-hmm. But almost certainly will play in some capacity. Jermaine Jones is back in. It is bewildering to me that I think Jermaine Jones and Tim Howard played 90 minutes in games twice this season, including playoffs. That's two, and I believe Jermaine Jones is a designated player. He might not be.
Yeah, that's an interesting
kind of maybe, yeah. So, financial transparency, it's good for everyone.
I feel that this would be I really feel like it's I don't know. I think it's one of those situations where the Tammany basically probably locked down either his contract or Gashi's contract. I don't think Doyle is on a DP, but I could be wrong.
I think he was at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and Gashi is a DP. I did miss the. I had to go to a training on implicit bias. So I missed the first conference call. What was that like?
I think it was interesting. There was just a lot of discussion about Drogba, what Drogba brings to the table, but also there was a real fascinating chat about Canadian soccer and being able to what some of the attendance numbers are going to be for these two games, because they're looking that they might sell out Olympic Stadium and BMO Field at the same time, which is, that's incredible. The other thing that's interesting is that I think it's RDS, which is the Quebecois French-Canadian channel that will be showing the Impact game, is actually moving the Montreal Canadiens game to their second channel and putting the Impact one on the main one, which is shocking because hockey in Canada, there are really two teams. There's the Canadiens and there's the Maple Leafs, and that's it for. There's other sports, obviously, but those are like the two mega teams in Canada, and to move the Canadians off the main channel and to put the Impact on there. I mean, that's huge.
Wow, freedom is on the mark.
So I don't know, like, it's an interesting game because we have like so many different levels that you can talk about with regards to the Canadian clash. I've heard, by the way, it's called the Pot Derby, which I kind of like.
I thought the Pot Derby was the Sounders in Colorado.
It could be both, really, because Canada also has liberal marijuana laws. I think you're right. It was called the
Maple Leaf Cup.
The Maple Leaf Cup or maple syrup. It was something maple. Anywho's, but it's.
Did you know that Canada actually has a strategic maple syrup like an OPEC like governing board that controls the distribution of maple syrup?
Well, that's good because when climate change, starts to affect the trees up there, we'll at least have some good, delicious maple syrup come down, not the Aunt Jemima shit.
It actually was a maple syrup heist. This seriously, I'm not kidding. It's actually happened. Google it or Wikipedia. It is actually a fascinating read.
Well, but it's an interesting time, like talking about like the Canadian Derby. Just because on one level you have you have two Canadian teams that are going to be going for their first ever MLS Cup spot. You have
Canada has never played in an MLS Cup. They've hosted MLS Cup, but never played in one. This is kind of cool.
Well, and the other thing is too is that like talking about we talk about this all the time. What does MLS mean for American soccer? Where does it mean? But Canada has a very different question to answer. What does having an MLS team, like a team in the MLS Cup, mean for it? It's the same question they asked in the CONCACAF Champions League last year. It's like, what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? And I'm not sure how much you've been following this, but there's been a lot of discussion about starting their own Premier League. And
given the election results, I don't blame them. Sorry.
But, it's like...
we kind of tried to do this whole we're not partisan. We've kind of forgotten that.
Well...
Sorry.
Yeah. I think both of us know, I mean, soccer and politics are very much intertwined. And probably, I would say, more so than most other sports, although... you see with the NFL and their extremely patriotic senses, it is what it is, by the way. We're not saying that's wrong, that's right. This is just a really good observation that if you're watching an NFL...
Alex Smith wore a safety pin to a press conference yesterday, and people are shocked.
Yeah.
That's literally, and he didn't say anything, he just wore a safety pin. People are.
So, yeah.
That's the NFL for you.
But anyways, there's all sorts of geopolitical discussions that can happen about this, and I think it's good. If people use soccer as a means to be able to discuss their issues and don't get involved with angry, tweets or Facebook posts, and that's better than the alternative, which is anarchy, which isn't really benefiting anybody. But trying to get back to the discussion at hand.
A vote for Bart is a vote for anarchy.
Yeah. To get back to the discussion at hand, I think it's I don't know, Matt. This is probably the first MLS Cup conference final in a long time where I look at both series, I'm like, these are pretty good series. This is...
Absolutely.
And... I know people are not crazy about the Tuesday night game, but I think giving players rest and, somebody if they had played these games this weekend, Gashi probably wouldn't play for Colorado. You give Drogba a chance to possibly, heal whatever maladies are with him. It's going to be, I think, really good, interesting series, and I think it's going to be great in terms of getting people interested on both, sides. So, I don't know.
If you're interested more about the soccer and geopolitics, I do recommend the book "How Soccer Explains the World." That was a really interesting read. So, but back to the actual topic at hand here. I'm kind of excited, Sean, because I think both series have a lot of really compelling narratives. The Canadian Derby, it's the biggest cliche in sports, but, these are two teams that really do not like each other. There's no, you're going to get people, there's some matches you just can't drum up interest for, like anyone versus Columbus or anyone versus San Jose. But the both Canada, the Montreal, Toronto, rivalry. And then on the other hand, I think it's really interesting. Colorado has been, the second best team this season. Mm-hmm. Dallas is out. They're taken out by Seattle, who's been the best team in the second half this season, or second half of the final third. So I think you're getting really good teams. None of these teams are kind of like stumbled into this or got lucked out. I think these are really, probably the four best teams of the season. Mm-hmm. And yes, I know Dallas has won Spurs Shield, and I know that New York Red Bulls. I don't know why their magic doesn't seem to work in the playoffs. Maybe it's just the high pressing works in the regular season, providing cups, mm-hmm. but it's no good in winning playoffs. And I've said before, we kind of look at how we crown champions. But I'm looking forward to Tuesday. I think Tuesday's gonna be interesting. I'm curious to see if the road teams are going to try to get those road goals, or if they're just going to try to, lead there with a 0-0 advantage and then take it home. Because there's advantages and disadvantages for both of those. If you can get a away goal, those are huge.
Well, I think in the Colorado-Seattle series, I think you're going to see Colorado press the Sounders, because particularly at center back, I think that's one of their weakest positions. And if they can get a goal in Seattle and then take that home to a place where they have not lost this season, and if memory serves me correctly, they only conceded under 10 goals this year. That's going to be incredibly difficult for Seattle to come back from. That's just, because Colorado has the best defense among the four teams still left, and even if McMath is in as goalkeeper, that's not much of a difference to really make things more complicated. The other series, I expect that to be, we could be talking record number of goals here, because Toronto has a serviceable defense. They're a lot better than they were for many years. And Montreal, you're talking about somebody like Simon, who's just been playing for World Cup qualifiers for Belgium. Yango's coming back from Africa. There's going to be a tremendous amount of miles on them. So, Giovinco is going to do some things that are probably just incredible. But so is Piatti. So it's like,
yeah.
By the way, neither of which is the MLS MVP.
Apparently, I don't know what MVP. MVP must mean something different than what I thought it meant, because.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we've now just warmed up to the idea that Piatti is good. Congratulations, people! Congratulations.
I hope that the other thing I was going to mention, that I really hope that if Garber is in the Toronto area, that somebody sticks him the question as to why Canadian players count as international players in Canada, because that's, we were talking about what this means for Canada. You want to make this situation even better, give Canadian players more of an opportunity. And I know why he does it. I know why the league does it. It's a tax issue, but that's ridiculous. And the fact that it is, that this hasn't been worked out yet, that's something that needs to be addressed, immediately.
Yeah, this is the 10th year that there's been a Canadian team in Major League Soccer.
Mm-hmm. And, it's not as if MLS could be able to adapt and change their rules on the fly, because they can. So this is something I think that the league really needs to seriously look at, how they structure that, because, again, if the CSA, which I always think of community, one of those groups that comes in with the giant bags of food, comes in and brings it in. But the Canadian Soccer Association is saying
it's the soccer equivalent.
Yeah, it's not benefiting their teams, and it's clear that MLS benefits having Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal in there, and it's just something they're going to have to seriously look at soon, because otherwise they're going to face competition in the region. They might. Again, this is hypothetical, but they might lose their teams. But speaking of national politics, so we've done a really good job the first 20 minutes or so avoiding this horrible, ugly subject. U.S. soccer.
I thought you were going back to the election.
No. We're.
I was hoping you were going back to the election.
We're generally very positive Pete's here, but today we're going to be negative Nellies.
Yay, up with people. Down with people now. We're negative.
This is probably the worst. Of our generation, because you and I are of relative same age, this is probably the worst week in U.S. men's soccer history, I would say. Like, I can't think of anything better. Are any worse?
Years.
Yeah.
15 years since the United States lost a World Cup qualifier on home soil.
Yeah, it's a absolute. I mean, losing. Okay, so USA lost 2-1 to Mexico on Friday. They lost 4-0 on Costa Rica against Costa Rica on Tuesday. We'll be honest here. They're not out of this competition by any stretch of the imagination. These are two of probably the three hardest games that they're going to have to face during this thing. The third one being at Mexico City. You can put Honduras in there too down the road. That's going to be a nightmare. But
they can still get third place.
Fourth place they go play a team from AFC, which means they'll probably play the likes of, I think at this point it's either Australia, which would be that's going to be not a fun match, or the United Arab Emirates, which is again, not the greatest team in the world, but certainly not a pushover.
But the road match will be in an air-conditioned outdoor stadium.
Well, that's good.
And there might be a zoo that's entirely composed of giraffes. that was actually part of the proposal for the World Cup in UAE.
You mean Qatar?
Qatar, excuse me. Oh my gosh, no air-conditioned outdoor stadium.
Matt has not had enough coffee this morning. We have to give him credit. It is 3 hours. It's like 6:48 in the morning. Which, if you were doing a podcast at 6:48 in the morning, he's giving the sad side. So, this is not the end of World Cup qualification for the United States. In all likelihood, they are going to qualify. Think about it this way. Mexico, during the last time, won 3 games. Still qualified thanks to our good generosity. They didn't show that on Friday night, by the way. We should probably, we should send them some microaggression. But that being said, I've never seen this team play that bad. I mean, I've seen them play bad against opponents of, Argentina, Germany.
Right.
But teams that we should be on level with or better, they didn't even look like they were on the same page. I mean, it was incredible.
Teams don't lose 4-0 on the road. I mean, I guess you could say, well, Brazil lost to Germany 7-0 in the World Cup. I mean, that was some pretty extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah.
Yes, there were players out, but I mean, I don't think there's anything I can say that hasn't been said already.
No. I will say, I think we found a really good partnership up top with Bobby Wood and Christian Pulisic. I thought Josie looked okay. I don't understand why we went with a 3-4-3. I don't understand why Klinsmann feels the need to continuously shift his lineups like that. And I don't really...
Which that's the sort of thing you do in friendlies. You tinker with the lineups, kind of for a combination like that. You should have a pretty good idea what you're going to do when you head into the matches that count.
The thing was that watching them play a couple of weeks ago when they played New Zealand at RFK, the thing that I saw that I thought was just a friendly issue, and it was just with some of the lower players on the depth chart, was that there was a lot of disorganization in the midfield. And I thought, okay, you know what? It's a friendly, whatever. It happens, right? No, this is a very big issue, is that after 7 years, we still don't know. Klinsmann still doesn't know where to put Michael Bradley. that is absolutely shocking. I mean, that's I don't even know how to really at this point, if you don't know where he's supposed to be playing at, then either move on from him or, you know, it's time to go. I mean, some of the players that were playing on the pitch, these are not newbies. Alejandro Bedoya wasn't there. Jermaine Jones, Matt Beasler, Omar Gonzalez, Altidore. These were all players that have been playing for this team for years. And the fact that we still do not know where they are playing at is unbelievable. And that is the most shocking thing to me, is that it's just this disorganization, this chaos. And this is a guy who comes from German soccer, where it is incredibly structured, it is highly organized, and we don't have that. That's all you... I don't know, Matt. I'm at a loss for words.
Well, what I'm most disappointed about is that it felt like when Jurgen Klinsmann took over Germany, he scrapped the structure, he put in a new structure that led to, you know, a World Cup win, you know, to being to returning kind of German back to its juvenile status. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I expected to happen with U.S. soccer. And when you look at the players that we're talking about there, where is the new blood? Pulisic. And I think we would have found him anyways. I don't think there's anything that Klinsmann did that would made him someone. We still have a terrible youth structure in this country. That hasn't changed a lot. That's where I'm disappointed at. You know, you're going to win games, you're going to lose games in international soccer.
Yeah.
We're not a top soccer power. We just aren't.
No. We're probably next level, but we're not world power here.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm disappointed in these results. Where I'm more disappointed, though, is that, and perhaps this is me being naive, overly optimistic, maybe too simplified, but, you know, our pay-for-play structure sucks. We're not finding quality. And, you know, and some people will say, well, you know, Jurgen Klinsmann is telling top American talent to go abroad. And I think the complaint is not that he's saying that, it's that he was brought in here so he wouldn't have to say that. He was brought in here to scrap the system we have, that people wouldn't have to go play abroad, that people could stay in the United States, play in the United States, and make us a soccer that way. That's where I'm disappointed at.
Yeah.
Soccer wins come and go. What I'm more disappointed is that I don't feel like we're getting better.
I think that we're finding more players that are good enough to be able to play in European leagues. I mean, you're looking at some of the guys who are coming through and the proliferation of play.
But are they smart enough? And God it, do people like them?
I think let's put Pulisic aside. Because I think that everybody kind of recognized, okay, this guy is actually going to be incredibly good. But you're looking at some of the players that are coming through, like Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's in Tottenham. Linigucci showed up on the Costa Rica game, who's been getting minutes from Sunderland. There's a couple other people whose names are escaping me right now, but there are players that are coming through. The question is that by flocking to other leagues, is this necessarily a good sign or a bad sign? The good sign is that European club teams are realizing that we're developing some talent. That's a good thing. The bad sign is that our league isn't really the ones developing some of these kids. I mean, Pulisic did not come through an MLS academy. Carter-Vickers is English-American. You look at a lot of the players that we're getting who are playing on these top teams, they're not from MLS youth academies. Linigucci somehow magically flew under the radar under the San Jose Earthquakes, which they've had their own youth academy issues for years. DeAndre Yedlin couldn't go to England until 23, 24 years old. So there's just a whole heaping amount of issues that are going on here. I think Klinsmann has pointed out a lot of hard truths about our system, but I don't think he has the answers, or at least he doesn't have the remedy. And I think a lot of this has to do with the structure above him. I think that U.S. soccer is in some serious dire straits right now. You look at the issues with the men's and the women's team, And that's a whole... We could talk about that for another 40 minutes about what's wrong with the women's team. And
it's not that they're not winning on the field. It's that's not what Sean and I are talking about.
No, we're talking about the payment issue. We're talking about the issues with regards to their ties to NWSL. And then you can talk about the whole other issue, which is government corruption and corruption in the institution, and having your president not show up to a congressional testimony on corruption in your organization. That's a problem too. So we'd always hate to really go with like the people who wear tinfoil hats on this show, but I think
in my day, Sean, a subpoena meant a lot more than what it means now.
I think that the issue, I think we both agree that the issues really are deeper than Klinsmann, but in terms of the immediate impact, I think it's time that he goes. And
yeah, well, I mean, at this point here, how many media sources have called for his head? I mean,
I know
Grant Wall, our patron saints, Stephen Goff, Deadspin, even Deadspin.
By the way, that doesn't necessarily mean that Klinsmann's had a bad tenure. It's just that, most international coaches do not last more than one World Cup cycle. And to do two, you're really pressing hard for their ability to handle that. So I guess the question is, Matt, who do we want as our next men's national team coach? I mean, let's just be... The reports out there that Bruce Arena would be first in line to take it. Excuse me. Oscar Pereira has been mentioned. Siggy Schmidt's been mentioned. I don't know if there's any international coaches out there that would take this job. Somebody mentioned Marcelo Bielsa, which I was like, you don't want to open up that Pandora's box, because he will. If you don't like honesty when it comes to Klinsmann, just you wait until you have a coach who will spend 2 hours answering every single question from the media. So, Arena?
Oh, you got me, I guess so.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I got nothing.
We're out, guys, and that sounds harsh, but it's just, I think Matt and myself have been doing this for about close to 2 years now, and we've always been pretty fair to Klinsmann, the U.S. men's national team, on this, but it's hard covering this game. This is a little bit of inside secret. It's hard covering this team, when they look that poor. It sucks as much as does like sitting in a press box watching a 4-0 drubbing or watching it from home than it does to actually watch it as a spectator or a fan. It sucks. And nobody really cares for it.
Yeah. And I would say that, whereas we tend to, I think, try to be very fair and objective when we cover our individual club teams or other club teams, there's a little bit of a rah-rah component
to
your national team.
It's, it's part of the deal growing up here in this country, is that there was it was such a close, tight-knit group of people following and covering this game that the lines between the two were really tough, and it's still a challenge, I find, separating being a supporter from being a journalist, and especially when it comes to U.S. men's national team game, because as opposed to other countries, clubs outside of Seattle, it never came first. It was always Stars and Stripes, but you have to be objective, but at this point, that's all you can really say, is that something needs to change, and it's not the players. I don't think it is. So...
Well, we can't change the players.
No. Although
that's the only thing we can change is the coach.
Although I do think that Timmy Chandler has played his last game for us. I know I've said that a few times.
How many times? Not just you. Not just you.
Yeah.
That sentiment's been... Oh, I feel like I've heard that. I think I could go back 6 years the first time I heard that.
Okay, Matt. So let's try to end on some ray of sunshine here. Any good news going on in the soccer world that makes you happy, or?
Well, I think we're almost out of asphalt on Southwest Broadway. So at some point they've got to stop drilling, and I've got to be able to get back to my office and like make phone calls and do my job. So that's what I'm pointing to. So I guess at some point they're just going to run out of asphalt, or the drill bit's going to break.
I'm going to go with Adrian Heath getting another job, going to be with Minnesota United. He kind of got hosed going with Orlando. Although getting his son to play as defender is never a good idea. Like, children and their children of coaches should never play under coaches. That's just, unless your name is Bradley, then it somehow magically works.
Bradley.
But I think he'll be a great addition for Minnesota. And Amos McGee, who used to be the assistant for DC United, is going over there, and he's a splendid person to work with. So I'm excited for the Loons. I think I might actually make a trip to Minnesota next year to see them.
No, but so yesterday the Timbers announced that Ned Grabavoy will be the new director of scouting and recruitment. Scouting is going to be, it's kind of like the next frontier of Major League Soccer. You know, it used to be Major League Soccer was like, let's have a place for the American lads to play. And you know, as we both know, like when you look at who the top scorers, the top players, they tend to be foreign-born players. And that's not, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that that's how it is.
Yeah.
So scouting is a crucial part of winning in this league, and you know, keeping those players, recruiting those players, giving them a role, giving them a place, getting them acclimated to the United States, is really important. So I'm really excited to see what Ned's able to do. He's been in Portland for a season here. Obviously, he has a comfort level with Caleb, the front office. I mean, and this is a front office that's had a lot of stability. Mm-hmm. Not always the case with Major League Soccer teams. So I'm excited to see what happens here. I'm excited.
And by the way, for those who really want to pay attention more to what's going on in like the youth or college levels, the College Cup is going on. It'll be starting today, actually. Well, as you're listening to this podcast, it might have already started. If you're in the Portland area, University of Portland will be playing against, I think it's New Mexico. And if you're in the D.C. area, University of Maryland, my personal pick to win the whole thing, will be playing on Sunday. So, games are generally pretty free, and there's a lot of academy products around there. So, great chance to kind of catch the stars of tomorrow. All right, Matt. Where can we find you on Twitter? What you working on this week?
I'm on social media blackout, man. I can't take it.
Well,
I'm sorry. But usually you can find me at mhoff.
Okay. Well, if you also want to use smoke signals, he's three flaps of the wind, then one, then 30-second break, and then 3 more. Morse code, we don't got that. Sorry.
The 30-second. The 30-second is 31 is just no. It's not going to cut it. It's going to totally throw me off.
I will say also you can find me at Sean Maslin on Twitter. We're working on something very fun and you'll see this probably tomorrow or Friday on the Prost Amerika page, and we're going to try to work it with a couple other sites as well. We're doing an MLS Cup drinking game, kids. No more of this crazy stuff where you watch the game and you just kind of sit there and silently sip your beer. This is the business end of the game, the season, so we need to be business end drinkers on this.
We are organized, we are motivated, and we're also organized.
If you want to play along with us, do send us your email or your Twitter page. We really, we always say that, but we want people to be playing on this. So
we want you.
We want you.
Pointing at you.
So, enjoy. I have a couple things on DC United coming up for Prost, and I'll be having something for Soccer Wire later on Monday. But, anywho, you can find Radio MLS on the Prost Amerika page, BackPage Football, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, Podomatic. Make sure you can send us any questions to Sean Maslin at mhoff or to our Gmail page, radiomlsprost@gmail.com. We're going to try to do a podcast next week. Maybe it'll be
covered the first round.
Yeah.
First round.
It'll be sometime after
first leg. The one-legged pod.
It'll be sometime after the first game, but it'll be before Thanksgiving, so you guys can listen to it. You can put your headphones on while your drunk uncle talks to you about politics, and you don't have to ignore them.
Oh, boy.
Or when you feign interest when the Lions and the Cowboys play. Those teams suck. Anywho, Matt, it's been a pleasure.
Terrible.
It's
terrible.
Terrible stuff. Next week, we'll see you soon, and keep listening to Radio MLS.